up a seat at the bar to join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tanzan, Jess, and Maggie bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.
Welcome to the McAnally's Podcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 17.13, Summer Bound with Cold Prospects, where we are covering the novel Proven Guilty. My name is Tanzan, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
172 days.
Chapter 19. Harry meets Fix and Lily at McAnally's and quickly figures out that they've been bound to not help him by Titania. Harry improvises some indirectly asked questions that skirt the rules. And when the summer lady and knight can no longer assist, they call upon someone who can.
McAnally's Pub. Oh my god, hi guys.
Home turf. They're coming for a
back.
visit.
Hello. Pass out the lemonade.
Too hot for warm beer. Mm-hmm. So we get a refresher on the history of what accorded neutral ground is. An agreement that was apparently made a decade prior from the head supernatural baddies that there is to be no fighting or name-calling allowed on said territories.
But Harry just views Mac as his buddy anyways. He's like, but he's a friend. So I always consider myself like guest and host here anyways. So I would never do that shit. But apparently other supernatural guys are just not as friendly as I am. Not as neighborly as. So those guys have to be told to take it outside.
Harry's like the only one inviting all these bad guys over to the bar.
I know. It's like, this is...
Ortega, fairies. Who else can I bring
I
in
would never do this because I consider you a friend and I would never. But I am fully taking advantage of the fact that you are the only one with declared neutral territory, so I am going to bring all of them here so that they can't kick my ass.
Hey, I'm just bringing you some more sales.
Right.
They're paying their bills, right?
Yeah.
Harry is a Stark and everyone else is the Freys. And he's like, I fucking ate your bread and your salt and you still betray me?
He's been putting his blasting rod through his belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that explains now.
Now we know it's not under the... I have to admit, too, because when he was talking about it again, like in the... I think it was in the hospital. Oh, yeah, that's what he says. Because, yeah, when they're coming out of the hospital.
He's got, like, a carabiner that he's, like, attached to.
He's got, like, one of those...
His keychain is ridiculous. So he's giving vibes to not fuck with him, which is like, okay, I know Harry comes here in his off time when it's not in the books. And thank God, because he's got to be farming so much, like, good aura points when he does that. Because the rest of the time in the books, he's always just like, I put on my bitch face so no one fucking messes with me. And then I go to McAnally's and I'm like, every time if I was a patron, I saw that guy show up, I'd be like, fuck off. Seriously, this is my only day off. Why do you have to do
The bar's
this?
about to blow up again.
Here we are in the corner pointing him out. He's at it again.
Exactly. But at least, like, there's
he's got angry face on. It's time to leave.
It's implied that he does sometimes come here and is chill. So it's not like every time they see him, it's necessarily going to be a bad thing. But
He's like, I consider Mac a friend. Mac's like, get the fuck out every
Exactly.
time. Even though it says no fighting inside, you always fucking bring a fight inside. But yeah, I love how this is his preemptive bitch face.
for
He's like-
McAnally to be like, don't you have an office, bro?
Yeah, down the street. That's why I'm here all the time. Business lunch.
Mac, put this on the council's tab.
Here on official business.
That'd be awesome if it was just like everyone at Max just has like, yeah, the red courts tab, the white courts tab, the council's tab, and Max just like, who do I bill though?
Mab's tab.
Maeve's tab.
Mab's tab.
It'd be even funnier though for Harry when he's working for like 18 factions at once, and he'd be like, "All right, put the beer under the Reds, put the steak dinner under the council.
Right.
Put Murphy's lunch under the city. They can pay for that."
Yeah, right. Fuck that. I'm not.
Like it.
Pay for their own. Just get consultant wages, man. It's nothing.
So not a lot. a good majority of people clear out. And then a little while later, the rest of them are like, you know what? Actually, this is even more intense because Fix and the Summer Lady show up. And it's mostly by reputation that people have heard of them. Most of them haven't seen them, but I guess it's pretty, obvious.
I do love that, like, how Harry describes that Fix wasn't really attractive in the first place, but and him getting,
Still isn't really, but
Thrown into himself.
yeah, he's still not attractive.
but he's
But now he's got some swagger and some strength.
Confidence does a lot.
But it's funny because the picture I've always had of Fix and still do is actually from like a really early, but like I think maybe like my second boyfriend when I was like 14 or something. He wasn't a bad looking guy. He's apparently better looking than Fix is. But again, he had like white blondish kind of and it's forever he will be Fix in my mind. I cannot picture him as anybody else. So I don't know. Sorry, but sure, he's actually a bit cuter than you describe Fix as being, but
So shortly after Fix says hello and to Mac and Harry, Lily, the Summer Lady, comes in. And really, we get these really beautiful descriptions of the pair of, for Fix and Lily. Mm-hmm. And I just love the moment when she walks past the pillars and the
flowers,
the carvings bloom. Like, that's...
Right, very cool. Like,
especially how it's followed up later.
This is just how summery the Summer Lady is she can make inanimate wooden carvings bloom into. It is very cool.
But I think beautifully written too. Like, that whole thing is just great.
I think this is kind of further because Jessica mentioned it last chapter, and she's like, "Oh, he's going out to meet Fix and Lily," and kind of how we introduced this chapter. And I'm like, this I think is a key point here, though, is that he wasn't going to meet Fix and Lily. He was going to meet Fix.
Yes, Lily also tagged along.
Yeah, that was a surprise to him when she suddenly pops out from under the veil. He was like, oh, because he had called Fix, he had talked to Fix, he had arranged to meet Fix, he was going to meet Fix. He was not expecting the Summer Lady to be there. And Fix basically comes in and looks around and like whispers in his invisible fairy FBI Secret Service earpiece. He's like, hey, it's okay. And all of a sudden she just, so apparently, she had just, followed him in under. But I feel like, hang on, I got to check the phrasing here though.
I hope you don't mind. Someone else wanted to speak to you, too.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. But so this is what I said. It's like he turned his head and said something, and a breath later, the Summer Lady entered the tavern. So, this is why he's got, like, the secret... It almost feels like he's just, like, talking over his shoulder, like you can come out from under the ship.
Very
but
little
she's
tiny
actually
bell.
still outside. So it's like, who were you talking to? Because you don't...
under his breath, send a little...
Well, again, just a very magic-y thingy, but yes, it is just kind of funny that at first it gives you the impression
a little tingle and goes, oh, good.
He's talking about me. my ears are red.
I can make my entrance now.
But I find it interesting, too, how Fix has...
That's what he said. Cue the spotlight.
Enter, breeze go.
What is it?
Lights go.
Walk in, purse first, or whatever.
Purse first.
Purse first. Bob the drag queen.
So, yes, that's when the rest of the compatriots of the bar are like, you know what?
There seems like some heavy shit going on here that... Which in all fairness, but at the same time, it's also kind of funny because of the neutral territory and because for the most part, there have been some exceptions or will be or whatever. For the most part, they are respected and adhered to. So really, sit your ass down. You're probably safer in Mac's bar.
But knowledge is power. I would want to stay there and over-listen. But at the same time, I would probably get me killed.
They say that they leave. Right. I think the most that they say is, everyone there, including myself, stop breathing for a second.
They all clear out, I think, when Maeve shows up.
Oh, Maeve, yes, probably. Yeah. But Lily and Fix, no. They're like, oh, everything smells like honeysuckle and it's lovely.
But yeah, what I was going to say...
Feels like my childhood here, so...
Well, you had a different childhood than I do. Sunshine and Roses does not... No. But the fact that he's grown... So again, when we met all these guys, we didn't get ages on all of them, but like Meryl was like 23 or something like that, and Ace and stuff. They were all... I mean, again, they were all kind of out on their own, so they were supposedly late teens to early adult kind of a thing. So I find it interesting that Fix is actually still like grown, and not just like... Because it's not just the filling out. He's taller than he was, right? So I'm like, I get that. That happens a lot, and especially men between like their 20s and 30s and stuff like that can be, like you say, they're all that skinny little twigs in like, 18, 19. And then again, the next couple of years is a lot of just filling out and bulking up kind of a thing. But yeah, I just find it interesting. And I mean, I don't know, maybe Fix was still just that tiny bit younger, that he was still more like late teens or something. But yeah, I just find it slightly interesting that he is, because
again... Or do you think being the summer night has developed him a little bit more?
Some of that. And again, the filling out, right? The more muscle and that I can see. But the fact that he has grown in height is an indicator that he, you know what I mean? Again, I don't know that, because again, Lily hasn't really changed physically. Lily was already basically a grown woman, right? She
But
was young. She was
staying a
20
night, though, you're not supposed to become Fae. You're supposed to be human.
And he's still human. He's got a mantle of power, exactly. But so bulking up and getting and that kind of a stuff. But yeah, I just always found it a little. And I mean, I know, I guess whatever, guys are supposed to still be growing until they're like 25 or something, and I don't know, whatever it is, women, how that goes. But yeah, it just always was a little bit.
I could see a little bit of like magical stretching though too. You're in and out of the Never Never and fairy and all this shit, and it's just like, you know, your body is like in the very last week of like growth, and it's like, whoa, what are you doing?
So they all get seated and sip at some lemonade.
Well, yeah, they get down to business quite quickly, which I appreciate and wish we could do ourselves, but, you know.
and I love how this is a neat idea. I appreciate it. I just almost feel like everyone's making a little bit too big. Okay, so the man also freezes the lemonade.
Yeah.
So
everyone's
do you have the lemonade ice?
Do
you have the lemonade ice chips? Do you have the lemonade ice? I'm like, okay, it's cool and it makes sense and I get it. I've seen a lot of this on like
so
Instagram.
Is it a slushy?
No, it's just the ice cube.
Shaved ice?
No. He just pours the lemonade
in an ice cube maker.
So when he can add the ice to the lemonade, but it doesn't water it down.
Right.
That's all it. And I'm like,
I read it a couple of times, honestly. Every time they were like, the ice, the lemonade, the chips.
I know.
What?
Lily calls them like
at it. Like, how do you sip it if it's ice?
Yeah, Lily calls it like ice chips or something, and then Maeve. But when Maeve drinks it, it turns to ice because it freezes
but she also
as she drinks
for
it.
the chip, the ice, the lemonade ice.
Yes, she does. But yes, that is
We are
right.
saying this from our privileged 2025 position, where we can do anything with ice. Back in 2006, this was
a novel
amazing.
idea. This is where it all started. This is
Everyone
why
just had ice boxes, so they weren't doing.
This is why we have like a million like Instagrams and TikToks or whatever about
exactly.
freezing
Before
your
TikTok,
favorite
we
beverage.
didn't have. Yeah.
Oh my God, people!
FDX.
You can freeze your favorite beverage and then put it in that drink so it doesn't water it down. Oh my God!
So Harry gets right to the business and asks why Summer Court hasn't responded to the Red Court's encroachment of their territory, and Harry also suggests that the question isn't exactly on the official side of the record either, which gives Fix and Lily some relief to hear.
So he's all like, okay, shit's happening. Why didn't the fairy court put the smack down when the Reds invaded their territory? And she's like, I don't know how to answer this. And he's like, well, start at the beginning. And she's like, what beginning?
Yeah, that's super vagueness.
Fucking fairies. And okay, well, I don't know. The beginning that's relevant to this, I don't know.
It is a little bit of that annoying back and forth, but Harry does manage to work it out enough to be like, okay, very specifically, and essentially works out that Lily can't tell him anything from a Summer Queen's or ladies.
Yeah, so they mention on the fact that they're like favors owed and stuff like that. He, saved that whole fairy court war, plus Lily specifically, he saved her life and looked out for her and all this kind of stuff. So she's like, I totally want to help you, but yeah, it turns out that Titania, she doesn't owe you any favors. You killed her daughter. She says I can't tell you shit. He's like, okay, fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, had to be done, but okay, I get, right? And even that is pretty impressive how he puts it. I mean, I guess they do it kind of well where they're just like, yeah, they just keep not saying anything, keep not saying anything, keep not saying. He's like, well, that's a big yes. Okay, all right, I gotcha. But she does manage to tell him, because I'm pretty sure it is her first, that is like, well, if Summer couldn't have reacted because we would have left herself vulnerable to Winter, right? So we don't know
going
what...
through the hypothetical.
Yeah, that's true. He gets at the hypothetical. Like, well, if it was... Hypothetically, yeah. So she's like, so we don't know why Winter didn't do shit, but this is why we didn't do shit, because we would have been, if we went tearing off after them and weren't, working together with them, then... so he's like, okay. He's like, so why didn't Winter do anything about it then? And she's like, And it's interesting because, like you were just saying, Fix is human. So he is not bound by the same issues as the fairies. But this compulsion that
Titania is still his queen.
Still his queen, and still, exactly. So, because, that's something we know, like the fairies have to be truthful, and they can lawyer their shit out of and whatever and twist the right, but they can't. But that's the thing is, Fix can still say whatever the fuck he wants. He's not bound by those. But again, the queen is the queen, and working for the court and having that title, that mantle of power, obviously certain things, yeah, he still has to abide by. They still apply to him. They can make him get around the, So like, ordinarily this would be a thing, but now I'm going to make sure you can't say anything either.
Yes, but essentially the problems here are the imbalance of power.
Right.
Yeah, and...
One of the other things that's suggested is that they don't actually respect the strength of the Red Court and consider them a threat anyway. That's another kind of a hinted thing.
Kind of.
It might be that.
Which
is nice on paper, but when, the council is having this war with them, and the council had to go and get these sort of permissions to travel through Fairy, and then for Fairy to turn around and be like, yeah, but the Red Court, you guys are fighting them, you little bitches.
Exactly, they're like, we're getting crushed. Can we, they made a deal to be like, can we safely travel through so they can't? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then be like, no, we're not. Okay, maybe they're not a threat to you. They're a threat to us. This is why we asked for this. This is bullshit. You were supposed to have our bags. Doesn't matter. Yeah, great. If they're no threat to you, wipe them the fuck out, man. But yeah, exactly. So they're like,
there was nothing against the Red Court going and making their own deals with Fairy, but the fact that they didn't even have to was a little bit like, bro, what the fuck? Which is why I'm way less of that belief and much more happy to go with the imbalance of power where it's like...
Oh my God, it's like CFS right now. Oh, they have no power to do anything. Oh, but we're just going to let them do whatever the fuck they want. Thank you. That's great that you're there as a governing body or whatever the fuck you're supposed to be. So yeah.
Lots of weirdness going on.
Lots of weirdness going on. And the other thing they also bring up where there's an imbalance of power is that the Winter. The Winter Court is still without a knight.
Mm-hmm. Or rather, they have the knight who is still alive but unable to perform his duties.
Which just sounds like he's got a little performance anxiety, but it's way
4 years
worse.
Worth of torture.
He's still alive? Oh my God. Yeah, I'm right with you, Harry. Like, that is, yeah. And Fix even says, like, yeah, I saw him once. I would not, like, he was a drug addict and a bully and a thug and a rapist, don't forget. Okay, yeah, thanks, Lily. Again, no offense, Fix, but you lived with all these women. You're here to protect. Really? Is this like some male view thing that, again, the woman's got to bring up? Don't forget he was a rapist, asshole.
Let's not sugarcoat.
Yeah, like 10 minutes later, they go into all the things or some of the things Lily had to do. And I was like, yeah, really? Like, okay. Oh, yeah, that too, but he was a junkie, man. That shit's bad. I'm like, okay. And Fix is like, I wouldn't wish this on him. So you're like, whoo. I mean, again, Air Queen of Darkness. Don't forget, don't underestimate. She's not just a horror movie villain. She's like...
Well, it all comes back to, the fairies work in a lot of ways very conceptualized power. It's very theoretical in a way, and the names or the mantles or the, not enough that Slade exists and is a knight, but the fact that everybody knows he's a prisoner and he's being tortured and that he's useless is in and of itself enough to ruin, like, if there's no respect behind it, it's not.
Yeah, there's no empty threat. And the fact that Maeve has been willing to say, okay, I'm just going to take this power off the board for the last few years.
That too.
Okay. This is a big deal in our world, but know what?
And then this leads into the further conversation of thinking that Maeve is crazy and losing it, which is,
Yeah, how does this make any sense? It doesn't.
Acting erratically.
Yeah.
To which Harry is like, if there's one thing I know about Maeve is that she's not erratic. She's like a fucking glacier. It might take her a while, but you know exactly where that bitch is going and how she's going to respond. And I was like,
But then imagine what would it be like if she did? Ooh, fucking bad.
Ugh.
Well, so obviously a lot of Harry's questions are, okay, Summer, what the fuck? But there's also a little bit of like, okay, well, Summer says that they can't act until Winter acts. And currently Winter is holding a force against Summer. So how the fuck is Summer supposed to turn their back and come and help the council when they want to, but Winter's apparently mobilized against them? So then it's like, okay, well, what do we do?
And Summer's like, I don't know what the fuck Winter's doing at the best of time, let alone right now. So there's no point asking me what the fuck is going on.
Well, and we learned back in Summer Night too that this sort of mobilization, it somewhat happens constantly, except for as the changing of the season, as a year progresses, every 6 months, it's this sort of agreed upon shift of power. And obviously, part of the problem in events of Summer Night was when that wasn't happening properly. But that typically they both agree to this ebb and flow. And
there's normally a little give and take.
And that, even though right now we are at the, essentially height of summer, we're
just past
going to war.
We're in July or whatever, but yeah.
But the fact that there's, that's not happening, that everyone's on their toes and being like, are you good, Winter? What the fuck?
Yeah, like there's not just that, like kind of flow.
Exactly. It's not harmonious the way it's supposed to be.
We're flowing, you're not.
So the pair struggle some more, but they really can't sort of speak to it. It really taxes them to tell Harry more. And Harry has a light bulb moment and asks them to summon someone who has the information and isn't under compulsion.
Can anybody find me? somebody to question.
Suddenly.
So yeah, I think we're all done here. No, we're not. And Lily's like, excuse me, the fuck? Wait, use your celestial cell phone and call. So again, she doesn't have to do anything. She just twitches her nose like Tabitha. Samantha. Tabitha was the daughter. Yes, and lo and behold, all of a sudden Maeve blows in.
I do love that when she comes in, that the carvings of the flowers wither and die.
Yeah, so they just magically
That's a nice full circle.
And now they just freeze and fall off. And yeah, typical. She's got like some belly t-shirt or whatever. Your boyfriend wants me. And, hello, Maeve.
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at patreon.com/freeflowrambling. Chapter 20. Harry haggles with Maeve for information, using his lawful complaint for her actions involving Billy and George's wedding. He learns from her that Maeve is planning an assault on Summer and has been acting very strangely.
So...
She comes in like a predator right away.
Right.
A sexual predator.
Anything, it doesn't matter what. It's sexual is always in Maeve's adjective. She brushed her teeth sexually. But yes.
And Harry's libido is definitely on board. Can't say the same for his mind, though.
It's been a while since we've had Lashiel mention anything, and I wonder, like, during this time, if she's, like, threatened or if she's like, yeah, free some of the century, let's go, Harry.
She's in the background just giggling.
It's almost surprising that she doesn't pop up at this moment and be like, I've been telling you the same thing.
And I wonder, too, if she's kind of afraid to show herself, if, like, she's afraid that the winter or the fairies could maybe detect her, so she's like, I'm gonna shut the fuck up, because I don't need anyone influencing Harry one way or the other about me.
Maybe.
The less people that know about me, the better, until Harry really commits. But I also wonder, too, if she's just, like...
Gathering information, see what she can use.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like the Mab being like, Harry, we still need a knight. And she's in the background like, hey, fuck you! This is my wizard.
I mean, again, because the fairies obviously aren't like mind readers per se, or Harry would be in a lot more trouble with them, a lot more, right? So I'm like, again, she's just that shadow inside of him. I still feel like she could have been like...
But I still wonder if like somebody looking could just like see the shadow in his eye and be like...
If she comes up more to the surface kind of a thing instead of staying hidden behind his like protective walls or whatever.
It's questionable to me that she spends so much of this... Like there's a good chunk after the cold shower where she fucks off and she does not involve herself in the rest of the events of this book for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's a lot of points where I think that she would have had something to say.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And I get it all. Harry's like, shut the fuck up, bitch, until I want to talk to you. And then obviously we can go with
Watch
the
me
and
exert
also,
my control over my own brain.
Jim Butcher, it's hard to give your 800-person cast a line every chapter, but I'm like,
but still,
really,
we
Lash? You
want
don't
that.
have anything to say right now? Really? Okay.
Right.
I mean, it's appreciated. Harry doesn't have time to mental battle with you right now. But at the same time,
But again,
I'm
like you say, just like a comment or two or something you'd think wouldn't take up that much
well,
time.
exactly. Like,
That would be a great scene, is having her sort of just be like making side comments.
Yeah, and Harry
and even
trying
be
to
direct, like, oh, here's how you talk around the Fae. Like, we'll get all the information we need. Just say this, and this. And
I was going to say that, too. If anybody can out-lawyer the Fae, I think Lashiel would be close to...
Lash would like say exactly as I say, and then he's like in a marriage to Maeve, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell?" And she's like, "Oops, haha." I've just always been curious.
Yeah, the reason why
You haven't lived until.
Do you know how hard it is to get into their palace? Like,
right? So she immediately starts in on Harry, and oh my gosh, you're so pent up. And when was the last time you got it? Oh, yesterday I saw Susan. Oh no, I'm talking about just like all.
You're wrong.
And Harry once again.
Chills. Honestly, chills.
Right?
Well, technically.
When was the last time you had just young flesh under your hands crying out? I guess technically that one when I killed your contemporary, the Summer Lady. Yep. She bled out from 1,000 paper cuts. I just held her down so it could happen.
It goes dark pretty fast.
Yeah, Maeve's like, oh.
dark. And you're saying this in front of Lily, Fix, and Maeve. Like, the three most affected by this.
Yeah.
Aurora was their friend and sister. Like,
Right? And yeah, you're the replacement. You're the one that said you're the... Yeah, exactly. And Harry's like, oh yeah, that... Technically, again, this is Harry doing a little bit of lawyering for himself, right? Because he's like, well, taking what you said as the letter of the law, as face value, this. And Maeve's like, oh shit.
just finished saying, Maeve is centuries and centuries years old, but she's choosing to appear like this young child, whereas Lily and Fix legitimately are the age that they are now.
They are still the age
They actually,
are.
okay?
Yeah.
But we've said it before, and even, Shay said, wrongly a couple episodes ago that she was predicting this wizard guy to be a couple hundred years, as is the wizard trope, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
Harry, for the most part, a 30-year-old man, does not look that old, okay? He looks like a fairly young guy, okay? Still
Depends
now.
on the 30-year-old
Well,
and what he's been doing. But yes, granted.
For the most part, 30-year-olds are
Grant.
not as ancient as 6-year-olds think they are.
Yes.
However, to have this sort of, three young appearing adults, and you've got this man being like, yeah, I fucking held her down until she bled out. She struggled, died on that stone table. And she's like,
Near the stone table, yeah.
ooh, he's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's enough to like get her to back down a little
Well,
bit,
and again,
especially
right-
with like Lily, who's like, okay, just I'll stop, okay?
Yeah,
Like, this is-
especially because, like you say, Maeve is all about the sexual predation, or she's all trying to, come on and get in his... I mean, again, not that it's that hard, because once again, he's like, well, Lily was always pretty, but now Lily's really pretty. And then he's like, Maeve, who was like sex kitten on steroids, And then, yeah, so then she's trying to play up that, and Harry, again, is doing his inner monologue of an embarrassingly long time. And, like, again, Harry being Harry in general, it's like, yeah, honestly, I don't know. Has Harry ever had like a like a one-night stand, random hookup, kind of like what you're describing?
Right.
I'm like, for a variety...
Read the room.
For a variety of reasons, that's not really Harry, And yeah, he tries at least to be like, okay, well, I guess the last time I was with Susan. She's like, no, not love. It's like, then never, Matt. Your answer is never, and you know this. You're trying to... And then, yeah,
Well-
he just pulls a 180 here and is like, well, all right.
Legitimately, it's only Elaine and Susan. There's never any implication that there was anyone in the middle of that ever. Like,
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's semi-believable, much as we talk about Harry being a little horn dog and stuff, but just given the way his life has gone and the things he has to deal with is exactly this is part of the reason. One, he just kind of says it himself. He's not that suave with the pickups and stuff like that. Secondly, because of all this madness and mayhem and his control. I mean, again, it's got to leave some impact on all your life when you've, like, murdered someone at 16 and then be shipped off to, like, wizard juvie and all this kind of stuff to, right? Like, yeah, probably not a lot of
Yeah, time for dating
and just casual hookups and all this kind of stuff, right? So
Well, we do know that Maeve is intentionally trying to antagonize him because she also, because as
she's
soon as...
Maeve.
Yeah, well, and then her next tactic is because she couldn't follow, she couldn't poke enough
he didn't
at
take the
Harry.
bait.
She goes straight after Lily as the next target,
I
and
remember
then
you getting
Fix.
dragged in
yeah.
front of the
Yeah.
court.
And they do.
made
They
to
all shut her down
perform.
greatly.
Yeah, they do a pretty good. And it is nice. It's nice to see Lily get a bit of that power back for her being like, that doesn't affect me anymore. Fuck
Yeah.
you, Maeve. And it was like, good. Thank you. It's nice. Like, it sucks. And yeah, your teenage mortal life or whatever was horrible. But exactly, you have, and he kind of says it too. Lily hadn't physically grown so much, but she has this aura of being the summer lady and the whole,
I like how fast Maeve even folds to it too. She's like, okay, fine.
Like,
It's
guys
not
are
fun
no
anymore.
fun. Yeah. She's like, fucking guys, none of this. So she's like, whatever, fuck you, you're not even going to play my games. I don't have to do anything. And Harry's like, actually, yeah, you're going to answer my question. She's like, why? And he's like, do you want me, yeah, he's like, we'll barter with forgetfulness. And she's like, there's nothing I want to forget. And he's like, oh, but there's something you want me to.
So, at the time that this was written, the short story didn't exist. Obviously, in the way that we do our podcast, we've already covered the wedding. So I do like that Jim Butcher did, like, write this book, and then later on came back, and he was like, all right,
Because everyone was like, what are you
write
talking
that
about?
wedding.
What happened? What are you talking about? Again, confusion. Because like I say, there was one of the later books where, if I'm correct, I think the title is Bombshells. There's like one or two I always want to confuse.
There is one
the
called
name.
Bombshells.
There is, and I think it's one that has the ladies teaming up in it. That is Bombshell. Okay, because there's one where I always wanted to call it something else too. where there's like a reference to stuff in one of the books, and I was like, what the fuck? And I hadn't realized I'd missed like a thing, and I had to go hunting down and searching, and I'm like, because there's like, again, when he mentions finding the guy's like coin collection off the side of the boat, you get enough that you're like, this is just an in-book mention. There's no hidden secret story somewhere of him finding this coin collection, right? You're like, it's just something he did in the past, that is, right? But again, you sometimes get hints to things where you're like, am I missing? Like, this sounds like a big reference. This sounds like something I should know, or something happened, or something that affects this, right?
I saw it in so many group chats after Peace Talks and Battleground came out, because everyone's like, who the fuck is River Shoulders? Because he only appears in short stories.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he's
alert.
in Battleground or whatever like that. And everyone's like, who the fuck is Bigfoot? When does he show up? And it's like, he's actually been around for like 15 years now.
And
but
again, those are big ones. Like, you would think that, I mean, again, some of the little small, I mean, there's not very many microfictions, but some of the shorter stories are almost like, where exactly you're like, oh, you could see. But again, ones like that where, again, I was like, what do you mean? I haven't missed out on any of that. Of course I know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly
those are,
right.
And again, just when you're as like, oh my God, of course, I always made a point of getting like briefcases and side jobs and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. But it's funny, but I can see that definitely being a thing, like whether he always intended to, but I'm like, I can also 100% see everybody being like, what happened at the wedding? What happened at the wedding? What happened at the wedding? Where he's like, okay, fine, guys, this is what happened at the wedding.
And it also just helps that anthologies are like that. It's like, we're looking for wedding stories, and Jim Butcher's like, perfect, you know what? I had a wedding that
I had this thing, I had this throwaway.
But yes. Anyways, point is that we get a throwback to that, and Harry's all like, bitch, I know what you did, and you set up Jenny Greenteeth, and blah, blah, blah. And so Maeve is like, and Lily and Fix are also like, oh, in that case, that gives Harry real legitimate reason to have grievance against you. And then Maeve's like,
oh, fuckers. She's like, this is just like not her day at all. Just everything has been going. The only thing that's turned out is she got her goddamn lemonade ice chips.
But that's what makes it even nicer too, is that there's this instance here where Lily and Fix are like, okay, actually the werewolves, the alphas were working underneath Harry's authority. He was in charge during that day when they went to the summer night.
Well, it's interesting because my brain had to kind of do a backflip here on this and she's like, oh yeah, she's like, well, your werewolf friends owe me like a valued member of my entourage or what. And I'm thinking they're talking about Jenny Greenteeth, who they like ripped to shred at the wedding. No, she's like, she's like, no, you guys, well, the Tigress was working for her. And I was like, you're right about that, bitch. I was like, Jenny Greenteeth again has popped up in like 2 or 3 of the, every time we see Maeve so far, we've seen, Jenny in the short stories or this or that. I'm like, the Tigress was like just there, and we didn't even find out who she was and that she was an assassin until like the last 5 minutes of the book when you killed her. So like,
Yeah, but Maeve didn't get her revenge back then, so.
I guess that was, but I just remember being like, really? That's the one that we're playing off of here out of all the things? Like, not like I lost my night.
It's a very long thread to follow, like to get to this point here.
Yeah, but for a fairy, it was last week.
Well, yeah, I know. But I mean, again, like she's not even holding them like pissed about losing Lloyd that went down and that they haven't replaced.
That was my point.
Oh, sorry.
I remember my point now. I was trying to say this last chapter. The timeline of the fairies is so fucked up because for fairies, everything is working on such a grand scale that for them, it's like all these moves that are happening for them are like, who cares?
Again, this glacial speed.
It takes us a glacial speed. It takes us 100 years to get to do anything. Who cares? But it just seems like in the last few years, it's been like, holy shit, we're going in and out of wars like every other fucking week. And you'd think that the fairies themselves would be like, whoa, what the fuck? Can we all go take a vacation for 20 years? Like, why the fuck are we making so many decisions so fucking fast? Like, I feel like the fairies themselves, winter and summer, would be like, what is happening right now? Why is so much shit happening right now? Like,
I used to listen to like my books and podcasts on like 1.0 speed. Now everything's happening at like 2.5.
But still, I would have to imagine that for the people of Fairy right now, it would be kind of fucked up and be like, okay, Maeve didn't do fucking jack shit from like centuries like 13 to like 20. And now just in the last 5 years, we've like gone to war twice. We're mobilizing against summer. She's torturing her night. And I would just think that, we've lost our summer later. We've lost our summer night. We've lost the winter night. I imagine for them, it's very much like,
this is a really bad fucking week.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
For them to say that she is going crazy, it would make sense.
That's why I would think like it'd be so strange for the just the regular Fae themselves, not the higher up ones that are making the moves or being in charge, but just for the regular ones to be like, bro, what the actual fuck? Because it normally takes us like 400 years to decide to go to war with summer, and we've done it 3 times now in like 5 years.
Which is a fantastic point, and I am right there with you. But at the same time, I can also see, I'm like, would this not be, because again, right, fairy timeline and mortal timeline so I can also see it being like, right, it's like 400 years for this slow gradual change, and then and then like a slow, and then you get like,
but
like
that's what I mean. The
Crusades
just hasn't stopped
like
as far as the fairy are concerned. Harry's like, oh my god, 4 years being tortured, and for the fairies, they're just still in their
but that's what I mean though. Every time they got to deal with, right, because like all of our little spike, right, again, nothing happened until like the Industrial Revolution, everything was like slow happening.
Yeah.
But that's what it means. Oh my God, they invented the wheel, and there was like all this like hubbub for a while, and then like we settled down and didn't do anything for a while, and then it was like, oh my gosh, the Roman Empire, you know what I mean? It's just be like that. It'd be like every once in a while they get like these little blips where like a lot of stuff happens really fast. So I was like, it's it is and it isn't. I was like, this really, the fairies could kind of be used to this, where all of a sudden the humans have like these spikes in activities where a whole bunch of shit goes down pretty quickly for a while.
That'd be pretty funny, yeah, like fairy sociologists. Actually, this is very common.
yeah. If you look back every 3,000 or 4,000 years, it's not that obvious, but look, there's,
I just think, though, that it's like, for this whole Maeve to come in and be like, this problem or this solution or this, not necessarily alliance, but just the working together that they've been doing with the vampires or the wizards or the fairies, or as right now, Harry's being singled out as his own one entity, that alphas were working under him and his authority, not the councils. And, back then during the war, he obviously wasn't even awarded.
We already told him he was we already said that didn't count at the time.
But that's what I mean, though, is like for all of those different factions to be working as, I don't know, intensely as they are right now, and even, as far as it goes, the humans are the only ones outside of the scale. The wizards are living for hundreds of years. The vampires are living for thousands of years. The fairies just don't die. To a certain point, the whole timeline scale would be so out of whack for them. I could see why it does and doesn't matter to them, but I don't know. I just think that's partially too why I'd be like, yo, Mab, you want to take a nap for 1,000 years, maybe? Like, what are you doing?
Right? Like, it's all like the like planetary orbits and stuff like that. Like Mercury is just going. Right?
Yeah, but like, I would be concerned. Why is the moon lapping us?
Yeah, this is.
It's like Halley's Comet. You're seeing it every week, and you're like, bro.
So Maeve does decide to take his offer and answers that Mab hasn't allowed for retribution and is readying a strike for summer. She continues to tell that dark things stir in winter's heart, things even I have never seen before, dangerous things. I believe they are important.
Which again, arguably, you are essentially like a fairy child. So, again, it's like, well, just because you have, okay, that's like, my Cub Scouts coming up and be like, this has never happened. I was like, it did. It happened like 2 years before you were born, which is...
But we are getting from both summer and winter that there's something weird going on with Maeve.
There's
this
things
is not
quite
all right.
Joking and hypothesizing.
Well, it's Maeve saying here, too, hearts, good, evil, mortals are always concerned with such nonsense. And it kind of is a throwback to Lashiel being like, you'd have to die to even understand, too. It's just like all these supernatural factions. No one wants to explain it to the humans. Like,
wait, didn't we have this again where Lashiel's like, you just would have to die to understand this?
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Like, why does everybody keep telling me I should just die? I'm going to start feeling like you guys...
I was about to say, I'm like, at what point are they actually threats?
I'm going to start getting a complex. The wizards want me dead. The vampires want me dead. The fairies want me dead.
It's almost like it's
the voices in my head want me dead.
Whoa. What?
I didn't. What?
That doesn't exist in these books. Never. But she's like, I don't know. Maybe have you ever thought that, like, Mab's, like, going around the bend? And they're like, well, that would be a scary thought. Good thing that can't happen.
It's interesting she's using the same, like, the language that Maeve uses is that Mab has been struck by the same contagion that Aurora had been.
In the time since her death, I have often thought to myself that Aurora was stricken with some kind of mortal madness. Like, I don't know. I've read the whole series. I know what's happening, but I don't necessarily remember these threads being as explicit as they are at the beginning. Like, we don't know what it is yet. Harry doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
But with, hindsight, it's like, oh, holy shit, you guys are actually just saying it. Like,
with hindsight, but exactly, we weren't given enough clues that, like, I don't think we could have come to Maeve's conclusion here that we're kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because, like you say, it's with the hindsight, we haven't seen enough of those things to indicate
But then even after Maeve leaves and Fix is immediately like, well, she's lying. And Harry and Lily, which is also weird. Why does Fix need to be?
Yeah, exactly. Again, that's
There's more annoyingness for the audience. But I'm like,
yeah, exactly, right. Exposition for...
But anyways, point is that, well, she can't be lying. She can't be lying. And it's just very much like, I appreciate that Fix was immediately like, fuck no.
Bullshit.
There's no way.
What? Yeah.
The power of denial.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it brings up that whole thing of this is the thing. It's like, well, she's got to be lying. They can't lie. Well, if they can't lie, they can't. Again, like the fairies can't be corrupted by like more like she doesn't just have Alzheimer's here. Like this is not a thing the fairies can, So what? Right? So it's again. He's like, well, what she said is like impossible anyway. So she can't be telling the truth. But it's impossible that she's lying. So right. So it's like the truth doesn't make sense and the lies don't make sense. So it's like
there are 2 doors in front of you.
Yeah. And
part of the problem too with Maeve is she's queen. She's in charge. She doesn't have to fucking tell anyone what fucking moves she's making.
Again,
so
you can't fight City Hall kind of a thing, right? It's very hard to bring complaints against the people in charge that are...
But even just, knowing what she's doing, for all we know, every move she's making is incredibly sane, but since she doesn't have to run it by anyone, it's like, we don't know what the fuck she's doing. It looks crazy, but...
What's the long game? What's the end game? What's the right? It might look, like, sure, I'm keeping a convention open and a bunch of people might die, but in the long term, it's better than having them just run willy-nilly all over the city, okay, people? Like, yeah, there may be...
But having, like, the Winter Lady say the same thing is, like, unsettling. Like, oh, shit.
Well, it is. And the other very unsettling thing, after all of this, when, like you say, they chat for a little bit more amongst themselves or whatever, and he's like, it wasn't like pulling teeth at all. Like, again, he's like, oh my God, I gotta go talk to fairies. This is like the worst thing ever.
He gives official instructions to them. He stops it from being a friendly conversation, and he was like, all right, now on behalf of the council, go fucking tell Titania this shit.
Back on the record.
Then that kind of immediately almost compels them again. They're like, oh yeah, right, we're back on the job.
Well, honestly, they haven't had a lot of... Lily and Fix aren't contributing a lot of this to Maeve is just... But again, probably because they're reacting to hers, right? They're like, we don't know anything about winter, which is why they called her in. But they're like, well, we don't have any instructions not to talk about winter shit.
and honestly, Maeve doesn't even answer the questions about why they're not mobilizing. All she really says is, I don't fucking know, Mom's crazy.
Yeah.
And then it starts a whole new conversation where so Harry still actually hasn't even figured out what the fuck is wrong with, the ways and the never and why the fuck.
Yes, other than Maeve is doing some bullshit that nobody knows why. So, I mean, I guess that's as much of an answer as he has now. But yeah, we still don't know, but...
And then, this whole, they've changed Mac, which is, I don't know, stupid exposition, I guess.
Mac comes with a beer already. I do have to point this part out, though. Mac can sometimes be downright angelic.
I know. What a thing to say about Mac. Just a well-placed beer.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Who are you, Mac?
Not that we're saying anything, people.
I don't know. I think this is also a little bit more for the audience's sake, though, about how they've changed, and it's supposed to be like a hint to us to be like, you see, when you accept the mantle of fairy, that's it. You're not a human anymore. You're not a this.
But you are, but...
Well, it fixes. But yeah, but it's... Seems to be, I don't know. It seems to be stupid that Harry is so disappointed about it. He's like, I can't believe they're not my same friends anymore. And I'm just like, I don't know. You've gone through this with fucking Billy and the werewolves too. You're just like, everyone's growing up. And it's just like,
again, I was going to say,
seriously,
I was going to say, I think you've bad with change, but a little bit of, again, now having reached this point and you less so. Again, right, I watched my kids grow up and stuff like that. I accept that they're changing. I went through all that. Yeah, you're an adult. I have no problem accepting that. But, year after year, when kids leave Cubs and then I don't see them for a couple of years, and I'm like, oh my God, you're an adult. Oh my God, you're an adult. Oh my God, well, not usually, but you know what I mean? Honestly, it is. So I'm like, I do get a little bit that the older Harry gets and the younger these, right? Again, the Alphas were a little bit younger than him. Fix and Lily and them were a little bit younger than him again, right? So again, there's becoming more of a division between that change. And I think he says it really well here. He's like, they've changed, Fix and Lily's like, they aren't even the same people anymore. And Mac's like, well, they grew up, And I'm like...
I think to a certain extent, too, Harry's still feeling a little sensitive because his brother just left, too.
Oh, yeah. Sure, maybe there's that, too.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It just seems... It doesn't seem like, Molly grew up and I missed it and now it's weird. It seems more like he's just straight up like, aw, they were my friends. They weren't supposed to go and turn fairy on me. That's not fair.
And that probably, yes, is definitely part of it, too, or whatever, right? Again, those weren't...
I saved your life, motherfucker. What the shit?
Yeah. I don't care how big you bet. You will
How dare you be, do so well on your own without me?
Yeah. You needed me. You could get as big as that mountain. You're still going to be my little rescue puppy Fix.
But yes, like you said, it wasn't like pulling teeth at all. That's concerning.
That's like, wait a second, hang on.
Faye was actually fairly easy when you think about it. Shit.
Oh, shit.
Which is, of course, yeah, what does somebody want me to know then?
This concludes our episode 17.13, Summerbound with Cold Prospects. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.